The Veloflex Corsa Race TLR is made for the fan of the cotton clincher who has transitioned to tubeless. They have a fabulous, supple, soft riding and high grip ride quality that is just a joy every time you go out on them. And that is probably enough information for people who are genuinely interested in this tire. But there is a few more things that needs to be said before you drop your money on them. It is very difficult to replicate the feeling of a supple cotton clincher on a tubeless tire because naturally the beefing up of the sidewall and the bead is at odds with what it is that makes cotton clinchers what they are. And I don't just mean any clincher tire, I mean specifically the really high end, the things like the Specialized Turbo Cotton Hell of the North, which is quite frankly the best clincher I've ever ridden from a sort of ride perspective, and they are just an absolute joy. So that is the sort of benchmark I'm using here when I talk about the comparison between the two. So the Veloflex does come quite impressively close to recapturing that sort of ride feel as you would find on the Turbo Cotton, but it's still not quite there. There has to be a level of compromise in the pursuit of being a tubeless tire. And interestingly enough, there is a corresponding compromise with being a really effective tubeless tire. So let me give you some examples of what that means. For starters, you have a limited range of sealants that you can use because of the sidewalls on them. It has to be a silicon-based sealant. And I'll just flash up the list of what Veloflex recommends you to use with these tires. When you go to set them up, they are quite difficult. I did have to sort of get some help from a compressor with this one. Normally I would just use my Bontrager flash charger floor pump. But yeah, I did actually have to get a compressor, and that was really the only way that I could get them on the rim. Once they were on, they sort of went up and down a few times over the next few days, but eventually they sort of settled in surprisingly well. Part of the compromise to the sidewall has started appearing over sort of the following months, and a little bit of sealant has started seeping through the sidewalls. So as far as tubeless experiences go, I've certainly experienced better, but I've also experienced worse. They do hold the sealant quite well, apart from that little bit of seeping through the sidewall, but generally I haven't had to do any maintenance at all through the months that I have been using them. For a fast rolling performance-based tire, they have worn quite well. Only really the rear tire has lost a meaningful amount of texture and sort of pattern on them, but it's actually quite a good result considering what these tires are designed to do. I've been testing them for a bit over 1,000 Ks so far, and there is certainly a ton of life left in them. So if you buy them, don't expect miracles. These aren't like an Armadillo or one of those really long life tires. For a performance tire, they're not bad. Apart from all that, they really deliver exactly what you would expect from this category at this high price point. They are fantastically good to ride. I was completely enamored with the way they grip the tarmac, and this really is something that I haven't felt since I rode those Specialized Turbo Cotton tires a couple of years ago. The confidence that you get when you're out on the road is just wonderful. I guess the big question is, should you buy them? And if you are the kind of person who has gone to tubeless and is really missing the feeling of a top quality cotton clincher, then I definitely think this is the tire that you want to be looking at. I've tested a lot of the new generation of performance tubeless tires, and none of them are as good as this one from a ride perspective. So in terms of whether you should or shouldn't buy it, are you the kind of person who preferences ride quality over everything? You're willing to accept a tire that's a little bit of a pain to manage tubeless, is not going to last a particularly long time when compared to some of the alternatives out there, but it gives you that great experience every time you do go out. If that is you, then you should most certainly look at this tire. If that's not you, then don't. It's an expensive tire, spend your money on something else. And that is really all there is to it. So I'm going to wrap it up there. I would like to acknowledge that this was sent by Veloflex for review. All of the editorial is mine and it is fully independent. If you want to read a written review, there is one linked in the description below. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, don't forget to ride safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.